Welcome to your next lecture. This week, we'll review the writing process and essay development. You'll freshen up your skills on essay organization, thesis construction, finding support, and making your writing the best it can possibly be. We have a lot of ground to cover, so let's not waste any time. Are you ready to get started? Let's begin. You've already learned about the basics of writing an essay. You know what a thesis, introduction, supporting paragraph, and conclusion is. And you understand how to organize an essay. To refresh your memory, let's take a minute to go over a few basics of writing. First of all, you must use a consistent point of view when writing an essay. First-person point of view consists of words such as I, me, mine, we, our, and us. The following is an example. I am driving to the Bay Area tomorrow. I'm going to visit my friend Elena in Berkeley and stay the night with her, and then I'm going to meet up with my uncle in San Francisco the next day. Second-person point of view is when you speak directly to the reader. This lecture is an example of second-person point of view because I'm speaking directly to you. Here's another example of second-person point of view. Today you're going to go to school and take your chemistry exam. When you finish that, you'll have to walk 2 miles to the beach and pick up a pound of trash. After that, you can go home, eat some pizza, and relax. An important note about second-person point of view. Your textbook recommends that unless you are writing a process essay, an essay where you explain a process to someone, like baking a pie, for example, you shouldn't use the word you in an essay. This is a good tip to keep in mind, trust me. Third-person point of view is the point of view you'll use most often when writing for school. Words used in third-person point of view include he, she, their, them, and they. Here's an example of third-person point of view. Kara went to her next-door neighbor's house, Bob, to see if she could borrow a cup of sugar. Bob happily handed over a small bag of fine granulated sugar, and Kara went home to finish making her oatmeal chocolate chip cookies. When Kara finished making all the cookies, she placed 5 of them on a small plate and brought them over to Bob. When Bob opened the door, he was delighted about his unexpected treats. He shared the cookies with his entire family, who couldn't stop raving about how great they tasted. In short, choose a point of view and stick to it in your essay. In a research paper, you'll be using third-person point of view because you're not talking about a personal experience, nor are you detailing a process. You've already learned about the different types of essays you can write. Some essays, like narration essays, ask you to tell a story. Other essays, like compare and contrast essays, have you show the similarities and differences between two different things. In this course, you'll be writing a research paper. As you already know, research papers are different than other types of essays because you are presenting new information and proving a thesis. But research papers do have some similarities to other types of essays. We've already talked about 2 of the essay types, narration and compare and contrast. Now let's briefly go over the other types of essays out there. A description paints a verbal picture about a person, place, or thing. Exemplification occurs when we use examples to prove something is true. Process essays detail how to complete a process. In an argument essay, you're trying to prove a specific point to your reader. It's important to note that almost all papers have some type of argument, including research papers. If you get confused by the different types of essays, think closely about the names. Description essays describe. Narration essays narrate a story. Process essays detail a process, and so on. For excellent examples of the different types of essays, please consult your textbook. As you know, before you can begin writing your research paper, you have to come up with a thesis. This is easier said than done. Selecting a thesis for your paper is no easy task. In fact, sometimes it can be one of the most difficult parts of the essay writing process. I wish I could give you a handy trick that could make you pick a thesis in 5 minutes flat, but unfortunately I can't. Instead, what I can tell you is that you should pick a thesis that is of interest to you specifically. Don't pick a thesis just because you think it sounds difficult or impressive. If it sounds difficult, it probably is, and you don't want to be stuck coming up with 5 pages worth of information for it. Pre-writing, as you already know, can be a great way to generate a strong thesis. Use some of the pre-writing techniques you learned in your last composition course, like free writing, questioning, clustering, and creating a scratch outline. These techniques can help you narrow your thoughts and focus on a clear thesis for your paper. Second, pick a thesis that you know you will be able to find ample information about. Don't pick something that has never even been researched before. Make sure your thesis is strong enough so that you can have 3 full supporting paragraphs that elaborate on your thesis. For example, a thesis statement like, alternative energy can be utilized by purchasing the brand new hybrid Camry or Prius available at your local Toyota dealership is too specific. You would have to spend your entire paper writing about the 2 types of cars. Instead, it's better to come up with a broader thesis that you can expand upon. For example, alternative energy can be utilized by purchasing hybrid cars, energy-efficient light bulbs, and solar panels in your home or business would be a stronger thesis. Do you see how my new thesis mentions hybrid cars, but is not solely based on hybrid cars? This means that I can still include information about hybrid cars in my paper, but I won't be as restricted in what I can write about. Follow these rules and you'll be well on your way to creating a perfect thesis for your paper. By now you're familiar with the traditional layout of an essay, so I won't bother repeating it again. An essay, however, consists of more than just a handful of paragraphs thrown together on a page. An essay should introduce information to your reader in a clear and interesting manner. After all, the last thing you want is a bored reader. To make sure that your essay flows properly, you're going to want to examine the order in which you present your information. When you bring up a new point in a paragraph, will you use chronological order or emphatic order to relay information to your reader? You learned about both of these orders in your last composition course, but to refresh your memory, chronological order is defined as listing the details as they occur in time. Here's an example of chronological order. Lynette hurriedly rushed into the bakery, late for work yet again. She quickly whipped up a cake batter, threw it in the oven, and began to decorate 200 miniature cupcakes so they resembled different types of flowers in a garden. First, she did the tulips, then the daisies, and finished up with sunflowers. According to your textbook, emphatic order is described as saving the best for last. In this order, you include the most important information towards the end, to leave a lasting effect on your reader. Here's an example of emphatic order. Pilates is fun, challenging, and great for your body. By combining techniques from yoga and focusing on strengthening your body's core, Pilates is a great way to tone and get the long, lean physique of a dancer. Most importantly, Pilates can help you find mental and physical peace within yourself. Do you see how the phrase, most importantly, indicates the greatest part of Pilates is its physical and mental health benefits? Transitional words help your paragraphs flow and keep your reader tuned into your process. Words like first of all, furthermore, and finally indicate whether you are beginning a point, elaborating on something, or ending a point. Your textbook provides helpful information about transition words, so reference it as you write your essay. In order to make your writing as effective as possible, you must choose the right words. For starters, you should aim to be as descriptive as possible. Don't say, the sandwich was gross. Instead, say something like, the soggy bologna sandwich looked like it had been sitting in the refrigerator for a month. The only ingredients slapped between the 2 slices of stale sourdough bread were mayonnaise and a single slice of lumpy meat. I couldn't even bring myself to swallow my first bite. I had to run to the bathroom and spit it in the trash can. Do you see the difference between the 2 examples? In the first, we don't know what type of sandwich was disgusting. It could be a tofu sandwich, an avocado and cheese sandwich, or a Philly cheesesteak sandwich. We really have no idea. The second example, however, tells us exactly what type of sandwich was disgusting, and it goes into detail about why the sandwich was disgusting. Think about your word choice when writing your paper, and remember, you should always try to be as descriptive as possible. Now, I want you to take a minute and think about your own writing. How has your process evolved since completing your first composition course? Do you feel like you've become a stronger writer? Do you feel that you can organize your thoughts in a more organized manner? I ask you these questions because I want to remind you that writing is a constantly changing process. What challenges you now in your writing is probably different from what used to stump you. For example, I used to have a difficult time making sure that I did not use different points of view in my writing. I would also constantly use the wrong verb tenses, no matter how hard I tried not to. Now I'm not too worried about point of view or verb tenses, but I am constantly worried about the length of my writing. I tend to write too much, and am often faced with the task of eliminating information that is unnecessary. I know that someday I'll learn how to write appropriate lengths, but for now, this is my problem area. Who knows what my future areas of difficulty will be? Only time will tell. Do you see how my writing process has evolved over time? Yours has too, and it will continue to grow and progress over the years. The key to becoming a strong writer is to keep writing, so stick with it, and you will continue to bear the fruits of your labor.